everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We are here at the Hallmarkies podcast to do our last non-Hallmark recap of this holiday season. We're talking about some of the films on Lifetime, on OWN, on Disney Plus, all over the place. We've already talked about some of them in their own episode. We talked about Yes, Chef Christmas in their own episode, and we're going to be talking about the Cowboy Christmas in its own episode. So we won't be talking about those, but the rest we're going to be talking about. It's going to be fun. And I'm film critic Grace Wagner, and Michelle's here.
Hey everyone.
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. I have a little bit of a cold, so I sniffle all the way through this. I'm sorry.
Well, I hope it doesn't get into a full blown. I hope it doesn't get worse than cold.
It's not too bad. I thought I
That's
was
good.
on the road for full-blown flu
Uh-huh.
at the beginning of the week, but yeah, it's not been as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, hopefully it hasn't been too rough work-wise for you, but I know you have your big 6-day break coming up, so that's exciting.
Oh, I cannot wait. I can't wait. I'm sort of lucky that I work in a big department, so they can sort of split it down the middle, and half
Uh-huh.
can do Christmas and half can and work over the New Year.
Yeah.
And I don't really celebrate anything to do with the New Year, so I was quite happy to to work through it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and this shows how my brain works because I hear, oh, she's got 6 days off. Ooh, what can we record?
well, yeah, we've got a lot.
Yeah, we've got some because we've got Heartland to record. We've got All Creatures Great and Small to record. Well, I'll keep you busy.
Yeah, I'm really excited that the All Creatures Great and Small Christmas special that's on tomorrow night.
Oh,
So yeah, I
oh my
can't wait for
gosh.
that.
Well, speaking of that, and we'll talk about this more in our recap of All Creatures Great and Small, but there was an event here in Salt Lake for PBS Utah where it was so funny. We went to watch the first episode of series 4, and I think I was the only or there maybe were 4 or 5 other people, full theater, that were under the age of 65. Almost everybody else.
That was like, yeah, whenever I went to see the Downton Abbey movies, I felt like I was the youngest person.
Yeah. So that was funny, but it was so fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, let's talk about these movies. Overall, how do you feel this season of holiday movies has been overall, of the ones you've seen, both Hallmark and non-Hallmark? What do you think?
I have to say I am enjoying Hallmark a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like there's been nothing theatrically, there's been nothing on Netflix or
Mm-hmm.
um any of the big streamers that have really stood out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially
And
Netflix. Ooh.
so, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just been really disappointing that a lot of the Lifetimes have been sort of acquisitions. There've
Mm-hmm.
been a few really, really good ones. There's one that we'll talk about tonight, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like there's just been so many that have just been so middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit sad that they sort of have switched their focus away from it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because they were really like competing with Hallmark on, you know, in terms of just
Yeah.
like the people that they were getting in terms of behind the scenes and in front of the camera. But it just feels like they've switched their focus to, the more sort of dramas and
Yeah. Yeah,
not really
it's
spending the
hard to
money.
sort of blame them because they just haven't been doing that well.
Yeah.
The even when you have, I was so surprised that how that Ranger Games Homecoming didn't do better last year. I mean, I
Yeah.
would think Sarah Drew was a pretty big name, and I forget where it was in the charts, but it wasn't that high, and yeah, so I can kind of understand why they're like, okay, I guess we really need to focus our resources on true crime,
Mhm.
and like they have this Gypsy Rose Blanchard 4-part series coming up, and I'm hyped for that because that whole story is nuts, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll be watching that. I was
Yeah. I
like, "Ooh,
mean,
is the screeners there? I want to watch it." Uh, but yeah, I mean, I can understand. I do think that they that for the most part, the acquisitions that they got were really pretty good. Whoever's their acquisitions buyer has been on point, because the Christmas at the Chalet was really good, and then we'll talk more about a couple that I thought were pretty good to today. Overall, I would say most of the season, I would say, is pretty good. Like, there haven't been that many that I've hated, but
Mm-hmm.
there haven't been that many that I've like loved either. It's just been kind of fine. Like, it's okay. I've enjoyed covering it, but the whole season has felt a little bit safe for
Mm-hmm.
me, for
Yeah, I would say that
everybody.
as well. There's been a
Yeah.
few, I think there's a few sort of upcoming specials that are going to air here
Uh-huh.
um over
Well,
the
yeah,
next
and,
sort of
and you haven't gotten the holdovers yet, which is of course the highlight of this whole
yeah,
season.
I'm hoping that, I mean, I'm looking at my top five now, and I'm hoping that it'll change a lot over the next week or so.
Hmm.
Just because if I compare the non-Hallmark top five to the Hallmark top five, it's not really comparable. I would
Right.
probably say Xmas is, probably the
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
clear, like, best
Right.
that I've seen so far. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, we
just
will we will be recording eventually our non Hallmark Christmas top 10. So that'll be fun. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. But let's dive in. Let's talk first about one of the lifetimes. Let's talk about Merry Magic Christmas. And this one was one of the acquisitions, and it is directed by Aubrey Arnason, writer Brian Rubery, who we've had on the podcast, and it's Patricia Isaac and Andrew Dunbar. And remember, this had like the really bizarre summary. We were so confused. But now it says, as Christmas nears, a financial advisor starts seeing a recurring number 624. She's told it's from a Christmas angel to make her wish come true. She calls it a statistical coincidence, but then she discovers the meaning. She finds love. Like, I don't even understand what's going on here. This movie is not about, I don't understand this whole summary. This movie is about a struggling theater that, and so this movie is not about a magic number. It's about a struggling community theater, and she's like the auditor coming in, trying to make things work. He's sort of resistant to it because he believes in the theater, and is a creative type. She's the auditor. It's as basic as it gets. This summary is so weird. I don't understand what the heck.
yeah,
But
I love that they have like this super confusing summary, and then yeah, I just saw that like the more concise one, but it's like it's just as confusing.
yeah,
It's like they realize, oh, this is too confusing. We have to fix it, and made it worse.
it's just like it's all it is. That's all it is. It's about
It's a Save the
a
Theater movie.
it's a save the theater movie, and for the most part, I thought it was cute. I if somebody was going to say that it's like super basic, I couldn't
Hmm.
argue with him. It is
Yeah.
super basic. But if you're going to pick a save the community theater is probably would be my top one, because I love community theater and I just love the whole spirit of it. So I do kind of like that, but I really liked these two leads a lot. And I thought the banter was pretty good. I think Brian did a good job with this back and forth between the two of them. And so even though this summary is insane, I actually thought the movie was pretty cute.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not going to change your life. It's very basic. Save the theater, storyline, save the romance. But it was cute. It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked her. I thought she was
Yeah, she was
really,
great.
she was really great, and she just had like this sort of giggle that she did all the way through the movie. And I don't know, there was something
Yeah, I agree.
really like charming and endearing about her all the way, like especially when you have like an auditor character, because you expect them to be sort of like a little bit sort of ice queeny, and they have to sort of soften, and that really wasn't what they did. They took a different approach here. I'm not sure if I've seen him in anything, but he really put me in mind of Jake Epstein a lot.
Yeah, I can see that. He's been the supporting best friend a lot. He was in the Taking a Shot at Love with Luke McFarlane. He was in Love Under the Olive Tree. He's in, just a bunch of Hallmark mystery. I mean, he's been in a bunch of Hallmark movies, including the Matchmaker Mysteries. He was in those. So he's one that, and I guess he did a movie called The Attraction Test for Up TV. That was evidently, I've heard from people, is pretty cute. But I've always liked him, and so I was excited to see him get this lead role, and I thought he was good. I liked him. He had charisma, charming.
Yeah,
I liked him. I thought he was good.
The only thing that I got frustrated about was how like lackadaisical he was about finance. It's like he's getting final notices, and he's just like, "Oh, I'll be fine." Like, "It'll be fine." Like,
yeah, they were definitely trying to play him up as like the creative type, head in the clouds kind of a thing, where she's the math type, she's the realist, she's the, and so yeah, it's opposites attract, kind of a thing. But yeah, he definitely was frustrating, and this movie was definitely, it dragged at times. You felt its length. It just I think because everything was so familiar and it was so predictable that that there were parts that felt a little too long and dragged. And if somebody was like, "Oh, that was so boring," I'd be like, I understand. But to me, I thought it was sweet enough, had the Christmas feels, had the community theater feels, and I really liked both the leads. So that's enough for a recommendation, I would say. I'd give it like, and I do think it's stronger than Brian's movie last year, which was the Single Ready to Jingle or whatever, on which was fun. But this I think is better than that. And so I would give it like 3.5, I think.
Yeah, I'll go 3.25.
Yeah. All right. Then let's talk about Diary of a Wimpy Kid Christmas Cabin Fever. This is on Disney Plus, and this is animated, and it's director Luke Kermakian and writer Jeff Kinney, and it stars Christian Convery, who has been in a bunch of Hallmark stuff actually, and Erica Serrera, as your voice thinks. And it's the winter holidays are turning out to be especially stressful for Greg Heffley this year. After accidentally damaging a snowplow while making a snowman with his best friend Rowley, Greg worries he won't get the new video game console he so desperately wants for Christmas. To make matters worse, he gets snowed in with his family, including his grumpy older brother Roderick and annoying younger brother Manny. So I don't know, what's your experience with the Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Is it something that, have you seen?
This is the first thing I've ever watched.
Okay.
I obviously obviously I've heard of it, and I've seen it sort of on all the different sort of streaming sites and things.
Yeah.
But it's just never something that's never really appealed to me. I think maybe the animation probably would have appealed to me a little bit more than the actual live action, because I feel like they were sort of geared towards a lot younger. And I'm more willing to watch animation than I am kids live action, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Me
So
too.
yeah, this is the first one that I've sort of sat down and watched, and yeah, I thought it was really cute, and the animation and like the sort of use of the sort of elf on the shelf sort of thing that they did.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was really, really good and really fun, and definitely one for the family.
Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't seen all of the live action, but I've seen a couple of them. They weren't like my favorite, but I understand the fandom and the love for the books and everything like that. And they do have little animated sections within the movies, which is kind of fun, like little like an interstitial kind of with
Yeah,
the graphics from the books. And these animated films I have not enjoyed. The previous two, I found them kind of, and I still, even for this one, I don't love the style of this animation. I find it kind of garish, and no, I just don't like the way that they're shaped. And I know that they're trying to take the like sketch drawings.
yeah.
They're trying to take the sketch drawings of the books and put it in CG, but I don't know, I just don't like the way that it looks. But this one was by far my favorite of anything I've seen from the franchise. I think the Christmas vibes really suit it. It reminded me a lot of 8-Bit Christmas from I think 2 years ago, which I loved. That it's very similar. The kid wants to get the video game player and what the shenanigans. So it's similar and kind of learns his lesson by the end and learns to value his family. And so there were a lot of nice messages, and it was at good feels and good Christmas. And I still, like I said, don't love this animation style, but it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, I think it's cute family movie. I think kids, especially fans of the books, the franchise, will really love it. And so yeah, I would say I would give it like I would probably give it a 4, even though I'm not crazy about this animation.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5. But yeah, for not really knowing anything about it. I mean, it's a really short runtime as well. It's just sort of zip past.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'll give it a
that's true.
3.5.
Okay. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's author Jennifer Snow and her book, A Lot Like Christmas. This Christmas season, in best-selling author Jennifer Snow's steamy rom-com, A Lot Like Christmas, love comes where you least expect it. For Jessica Connolly, there is no better place than her coastal hometown of Blue Moon Bay. She has a wonderful family, supportive best friends, and a successful bakery on Main Street. Unfortunately, every time she designs one of her ex-boyfriend's wedding cakes, she's reminded just how unlucky she is with love, and that she's a good luck charm for men to find their happily ever after with someone else the minute they break up. So she's decided to be done with love. Dr. Mitch Jameson is more comfortable traveling the world with Doctors Without Borders than staying in one place. He just needs to survive the holidays in his small hometown before he can leave again. The beautiful, intriguing bakery owner with an aversion to dating might be just who he needs to occupy his restless heart. From sipping hot chocolates at the local Festival of Lights to early morning dessert deliveries, Jessica and Mitch rediscover the spirit of the holidays. But when the 25 days of Christmas are over, will their romance be over too? Adapted as an UpTV holiday movie, readers can catch a sweeter version by watching Christmas Lucky Charm. And you can purchase A Lot Like Christmas wherever you purchase your holiday reads or by using the affiliate link below. All right, so then we have one that I saw that you hadn't seen. It's called A Christmas Intern. And this was on Lifetime. Director David DeCotia, and it stars Jack A. Harry and Vivica A. Fox. And it's with the holidays approaching, Cecilia discovers that retirement isn't all it's cracked up to be. So she decides to make a surprise visit to her daughter, Alexis, who created and runs Cyber Santa, an online giving business. Seizing an opportunity to spend Christmas with her daughter and get back into the game, Cecilia becomes an intern at the startup company, and the two learn the importance of family during the most wonderful time of the year. This was like, I guess it was okay. Like it was sweet enough, but I just wish that they would give one of these days give Jack A something funny. This was pretty straight, pretty sincere. And then Vivica Fox, she's not in it very much. She's only in a few scenes, which probably isn't a surprise. But these family dramas with the families fighting and not getting along, and then finally kind of making up, and that's just not usually my favorite. Kind of, but this one wasn't awful, but I can't say I'd recommend it. The acting was pretty poor, was pretty poorly made, and it just felt long, and I just wish that they give her something funny to do. She's such a funny lady, so I would give it like a 2.5. So
it's a shame.
yeah. All right. Then we have the holiday proposal plan. And this one is written and directed by Jake Helgren, starring Tatiana Ali and who's the lead? The way they have it on IMDb is so annoying. It stars Tatiana Ali and Jesse Cove, and it's travel columnist Sunny Kravitz and her ex-boyfriend Kip are forced to team up to help their best friends Bree and Jared get engaged. The four return to Sunny's parents' snowy chalet and set up 12 holiday traditions. So I haven't gotten to see this one. You saw it. What did you think?
I thought this was fine. Again, it was very middle of the road for me. I do think the weakest part of the movie for me, which was one of the main plot lines, was the sort of friendship between Sunny and Bree. I just didn't really buy it. The whole conceit of the movie is that they work together and they sort of do this sort of travel show together, and they have this really like fun banter and fun relationship that people are really drawn to, and it really made the show a success. I just didn't really feel that in their scenes together. Maybe that was just me. But for me, that just didn't really work.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the actual like romantic relationships, I thought were fine. There was a
What did you
lot
think of
going
the
on.
chemistry between Tatiana Ali and Jesse Cove?
I thought it was fine. I just really didn't like the fact that they had sort of the classic misunderstanding. The whole thing is that she is there with Bree, and they're sort of recreating the first time that they met in order to get Bree's fiance to propose. They've sort of started to drift apart because she started to put work first. So Sunny and Bree come up with this plan to sort of recreate at home a lot of traditions that they would have done while they were traveling together. That plan also like got cancelled when she sort of decided to put her show ahead of the traveling. So they sort of try to create all of these traditions in the hopes that he will be inspired to propose. And Jesse's character is his best friend, so he sort of gets roped in to sort of get Jared to sort of play along and sort of help out. But he's very upset that Sunny's sort of making this also a work trip as well. She sort of does the sort of lie and says it's not a work thing, it is a work thing, and he gets really upset with her, and that was just a little bit tired for me. I feel like we've seen that. Yeah, I feel like we've seen that a lot in these movies. There was a lot going on, a lot of characters. I think if that central sort of friendship had worked for me, it would have been a lot higher. I think I'll probably give this like a 2.75. Very middle of the road for me, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, one I wanted to talk about real quick. This is actually an Up TV movie. So we normally cover that on Upside, but it didn't work out. So I thought I'd mention it. Is Dial S for Santa. And this is director David L. Strasser, writers Joni Kane and Joelle Selner, stars Sarah Dugdale and Linda Boyd, Mark Humphrey, And it's a Christmas mystery with Lana, who comes back to her hometown to visit her mom for the holidays, only to encounter Nick, a new police detective with whom she teams up to discover who is behind a string of unusual burglaries in their town. So this movie, the acting is a little amateurish, and it's you can tell they had like zero budget. But given all of that, I think that it's actually kind of fun. They do a pretty good job of like building the clues, and is like the Santa a suspect, and the different burglaries, and this officer, and the banter between this woman who wants to be a detective, and so she's kind of nosy, busybody, and this detective was fun. And it's no masterpiece by any means, but I thought it was entertaining for what it is. And you have Linda Boyd playing her mom, who is dating Mark Humphrey, and he actually proposes, and so she has to like kind of deal with that with her mom getting remarried. But the main reason to enjoy the movie is the mystery of it, is the different the clues, and who is it that's actually you know the burglar, the Christmas burglar. And so yeah, I think for the right kind of personality, if you like mysteries, I think you'd enjoy it. And the two leads were cute, even if their acting wasn't the best. It was fun. So we'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
There was also on the Up channel, there was a movie called A Christmas Letter that was about, it says Leslie has done everything right in her life except for finding Mr. Right, till the spirit of Christmas leads her there in an unusual way. And there's this like Christmas letter. This is also one that has like no budget. I mean, this thing was it looked like it was shot on an iPhone. It might have been, but I didn't end up doing a review for it for Up TV because it was pretty rough. But yeah, I know the kids were cute. I have to give it that. And David Lipper, he can be quite charming. But and I mean, and it has a pretty good cast for like no budget. Enrico Colantoni and Colin Mockery, but still, I don't know. It wasn't the best. So I'd give Dolls for Santa. I'd give that 3. I think 3, and I would give Christmas Letter. I would give it 2.5 for that. So, all right. Then we have the Christmas Serenade, and this is one that you watched, and this was on OWN channel.
Mm-hmm.
And its director Roger M. Bobb and writer Lenore Couillere and BJ Britt Darlene Cook. And it's a musician returns home for the first time in years for a gig and is recruited to become minister of music for annual Christmas Jubilee at his home church. And I love that when in these movies, when somebody's visiting their hometown, oh, you can lead the choir, which is hilarious. But what did you think of this one?
I really liked this one.
Oh.
Yeah, there was one I was sort of thrown off in the beginning. So the music in this movie is beautiful. They have like a fully produced song throughout, that's sort of getting written, throughout the movie, and they fully perform it, and it is really, really catchy, really beautiful. If you like gospel music, then I would definitely recommend checking this out. It definitely has a budget. It looks very slick. I really like BG Britt, so I was sort of all in for him to begin with. Um, but yeah, it felt very sort of similar to a Hallmark movie from a while back. Just in the relationship with um the main character and her dad.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he is sort of very much like wants the church to remain as it has, and he doesn't really want any sort of change. They lost his wife a few years previously, so that sort of hit him really hard. So the Jubilee that they're putting together, it hasn't changed in years. It's very much like the same thing every year, and he's very resistant to change. And any sort of change that Willow sort of tries to do, it's sort of like she might get removed from the church. That's how
Mm.
strongly he feels about it. So she's really upset when when BG Britt's sorry, what's his name? Jeremiah, when he comes into town and immediately gets handed the job that she's been fighting for.
Mm.
Um, so that was a sort of interesting dynamic. But initially, like her response to him is so like he is awful, like he's evil, he did something horrible to her. And I was sort of waiting on like a big reveal of what happened, because this isn't like a Lifetime or Hallmark. I thought maybe it was going a bit darker. Just because her response to him was so like strong.
Yeah.
Um and it wasn't anything more than what was seen in a Hallmark or a Lifetime. He sort of just, disappeared on her, and it like, and
W-
from his
Was the
part he
was there like a cat fight or gold digger kind of element at all?
no, no,
Oh,
not at all.
good.
Not
That's
at all.
good.
This is very much what you would see on Hallmark or Lifetime.
Oh, good.
Maybe just a little bit, some dialogue here and there that maybe would have getting cut for
Uh-huh.
like Hallmark. It definitely looks a little bit more expensive. But in terms of like the acting, the plot, the script, it's very much on par.
Hmm.
With
Oh,
sort of
good.
top tier sort of Lifetime Hallmark. I definitely recommend it. And again, if
Yeah, I
if you're
definitely
really
am.
into gospel music, then I would definitely check it out because the song is really beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. How many crowns did you give it?
I'll give it 3.75.
Oh, okay, good. All right, last one we're going to talk about is this is actually airing on Lifetime. When this airs, it'll be airing tomorrow. So this is on the 23rd. So this is like an early review, I guess you might say. It's called Mom's Christmas Boyfriend. And this is directed by Graham Campbell and writer Victoria Rose, and it stars Janine Gosen and Zach Smadou. And it's single mom Emma always puts others first, especially her daughter Lily, whom she adopted on her own. But when the precocious Lily wins a contest to have her Christmas wish granted, Emma's life gets turned upside down. So I would say that this movie is another one, kind of like Merry Magic Christmas, that it doesn't really do anything unexpected or new. This is very basic, but I thought it was really charming. I enjoyed it. It's very similar to All I Want for Christmas, which is a old school Hallmark movie that I love. Where the little boy wishes for a boyfriend, for a husband, for his mom, for Christmas in the toy contest and wishing contest. And so it's very similar to that, except for in this case, in that movie, she's this like friend zoned this guy like hardcore, and who of course is the right guy for her. In this case, that's not the case. There's these sort of two options. There's this like slick, savvy guy who's like addicted to his phone, like to the point of it being like unreasonable. Like, I mean, nobody like when they're out to dinner with somebody that they are evidently trying to impress. He like gets her a necklace. He seems to like her, and he's just like looking at his phone the entire dinner. Like, but so he's like a terrible human. And then you have this other guy who is like working with her, and so at first he's like, oh, I can't go there, And but I thought that they were both really charming. I liked both the actors. They were new to me, but I liked them. The little girl was cute. And the only major beef I have with this movie is I really disliked the way they staged the ending. So they have them together there, and they're like declaring their love or whatever, and then it stops, and the other guy is there with the press and everything. So then she has to go on to the press and be like, no, I'm not interested in you, and I that's not what I want. And so then the press leaves, and then she goes back to this other guy, and he's like, oh, did you mean what you said? And I'm like, I don't really like that, how it was staged. And then the kiss was very underwhelming. For they had like chemistry, but the way it was done was very like, I don't know, it's like they didn't want to touch each other. The kiss, I didn't like it. And so that whole scene, I don't know, it should have been staged differently, like maybe the day before, and then maybe he sees the footage or something, and it's like, oh my gosh, or something like that. But have like literally he's right there, and they've just had a near kiss, and then they have this whole thing with the press and everything with this other guy. So that I didn't like, but overall I enjoyed it. I thought it was sweet. So I would give it like a 3.5.
Nice.
Yeah. So there we go. I think we covered everything. So we did it.
Perfect.
So let us know what you think. If you got to see any of these, love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Michelle, where can people follow you?
On Twitter, Michelle R. Benson.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really, really, really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is so much fun, and the merch store. So take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. And Merry Christmas. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.